Okay. So I see myself on the screen, but I don't see
We
you.
definitely are hearing you. We're just picking up a little. It's a little bit of a delay. So see if you can't just play through, just speak ahead, and we'll drag back between each other.
Okay. Well, basically, I was there in 1961 and graduated in 65. And the school has changed dramatically. I mean, since I was there, one thing that hasn't changed is the quality of education. And certainly, you guys have just expanded into the stratosphere with different courses and different clubs and things like robotics and even theater, is fantastic and just an amazing venture. So, I look back on all these years and there's Eric and, can't believe, how far you guys have come. Hi, Eric.
Hey, bud, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Eric.
Okay. All right. We couldn't get the sound at first.
I know. So how you doing? You look good.
I'm good, babe. How about you?
I'm feeling good, although I'm old, but I said it's been a long ride. It really has. And graduated from Calvert Hall in 65. When did you graduate, Eric? I mean, when did you come there and get through there? How long have you been associated with Calvert Hall?
I've been associated with Calvert Hall for 42 years.
Jeez. Okay. Yeah, because I remember your daddy real well, of course. And then, of course, you coming in and stuff. So
Dad got it all started.
Yeah, he sure did.
Family tradition.
Yep. Lots of that.
That's what Calvert Hall is based on, family tradition.
Absolutely. And it continues even till today. You know what I mean?
That's right. So that's what Calvert Hall is built on, family.
Exactly. And, I was just a kid from actually Highlandtown, and then we moved out to the suburbs, and that's when I started going to Calvert Hall. But I never really expected the ride that I had as a result. It was just the academics were top drawer, really tough. And I was in a lot of the advanced classes and stuff. And never thought that when I left Calvert Hall 4 years later after I graduated, I would come back and be teaching there. So I graduated in 65, back in 69, and taught there until 1980. And just loved every minute of it, and had an opportunity to mentor a lot of young men. And
it was a true experience.
What's that, Eric? I'm sorry.
Calvert Hall is a true experience.
It is. No, it is. It really is. So, and both of my boys went there as well because I wanted that experience for them. So, yeah, it's quite the ride, like I said. So, yeah. So I don't know. Is Joe around? I don't know. I don't know where he is. I know he's pulling whatever hair he's got left out. I know he's doing that as we speak.
This hasn't been working as well as he wanted to, but it's working now, I see.
Yeah. We just can't get him. I don't know where he is. So, but in any event. So what have you been doing lately, Eric?
Trying to keep my mind straight and my children focused on being together.
Yeah.
That is a job, keeping people together, and when they're quarantined and you're not used to being together that long in a house with people, you know what I mean?
I hear you. Yeah. I imagine that can be quite a little challenge for you. So
yeah, it's a little challenge here, but I got 2 grown children here. They're both, out of work, and we're just eating and passing each other in the house.
Well, hopefully some of those times are really bonding times, and that's good,
So it makes you understand your children a little more now.
Absolutely. So, but in any event, so I don't know what Joe wants me to talk about and what you to talk about. Our experiences there. I mean, there are different teachers. Augie Maselli was a kid who was teaching when I started there. So he literally, I think, was fresh out of college when he started at Calvert Hall. and, I had the opportunity not only I never had Augie as a teacher, but, then coming back to Calvert Hall and being with some of these men that, it was hard for me to look at them and call them by their first name. It was like still Mr. Maselli or, Mr. Crop or, that kind of thing.
And today I still call him Mr. and Miss. Like Mr. Thielen is one of my heroes.
I don't know why. I've got stories on him. I could tell you, really. I know he's coming up later on tomorrow, or whatever, and stuff. But he and I were in grammar school together, and we were at St. Matthew's School, and and we'd get in trouble because we'd laugh. I mean, we were both cut ups, as you well know. He's a funny guy.
Yes, and, he is. Till the day he is.
Yeah, he is, and a fantastic teacher. Just a great teacher and great person and stuff. And I still see him till he's, every once in a while.
He's still the same guy, though. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. No, nothing that doesn't change after all these years. I think, if you're a good person to begin with, I think that's the way you end up. But he's one of those guys. So. Yeah.
Doug just sent me, Joe is having technical issues. You and Charlie can keep going, doing awesome.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Now, for the time you were there, because I was there 11 years. All right. Like I said, from 69 to 80. These kids weren't even around then, so many of them that are, recently graduated.
The real Calvert Hall. Where it started. These kids are blessed. They got air conditioning. They got.
I know. You remember like summer times and I mean, it'd get warm and everything, and we didn't have any AC. So.
And they got a great cafeteria. They got somewhere to lounge in the front. It's the new commons. These guys don't know how good they got it.
No, it's beautiful. Like I said, it's the bones are basic and they're still there. But what they have built around that, I mean, it's just phenomenal. And I've come back and presented on panels with some of my colleagues in the profession, in the mental health professions. And we presented for these kids who were interested in different aspects of mental health or medicine or whatever. And it was after school, it was voluntary, and like 60 kids showed up. And the quality of their questions just kind of blows me away. I mean, so, that level of kind of sophistication and ability to conduct themselves and present themselves, I think is one of the hallmarks of Calvert Hall. They give that to these guys in terms of their discipline and their formation and their training. And that continues on. I continue to be proud by what I see. Coming out of
there. And that all started with my dad. You know what I mean? He loved Calvert Hall.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
And he installed that in me and my brother. So
yeah.
I live and die Calvert Hall.
Well, you are part of that tradition, my man. You know what I mean? Your whole family is part of that tradition. And it's quite a lengthy legacy. It really is. It's many, many years, and it's all good. There is not a black mark on your record, I don't think, on any of the Rogers records. What's that?
I would hope not.
No, never heard any bad things. So
try to be, is part of the kids' lives there just as much as the teachers. If they're in need, I'm there for them. I tell the kids, if it's wrong, you're wrong, but sometimes you got to step up and be a man.
Exactly. And you have to deal with consequences. You know what I mean? So we all make mistakes. Yeah, we all make mistakes. We all sometimes decide we're going to do it our way rather than the.
Well, the thing about Calvert Hall is when you make a mistake, you're allowed a chance to do it again.
Yeah, no, that's true.
It's when you don't tell the truth is when that mistake.
That's right. Yeah, just a little one.
We've all made mistakes coming through Calvert Hall.
What's that?
We've all made mistakes coming through Calvert Hall.
Yeah,
But
not me, not me. Oh my God, I'm surprised they kept me. I was kind of a loose cannon for a little while. You know what I mean? Coming back, I was going to set the world on fire, that kind of thing. And God love them, they went along with a lot of the stuff I suggested, and so I'm
what
very very grateful.
I think every student has a rough year at Calvert Hall. But if you make it through that rough year, it's all downhill after that.
No, I agree. I agree. So for me, what I think was it sophomore year? That was my tough year.
There you go. Sophomore
That was
year.
my tough year. Woo. So yeah, but you because you're not a freshman anymore, and yet you're not an upperclassman, so that's tough. That year is tough, I think. And yet it's funny because when I came back as a teacher, that was primarily who I taught were sophomores. You know, and everybody was like, why do you like them? Sophomore means wise fool. Why do you want to deal with them at that? And I just loved it. I really really did. And I liked kids that kibitzed with me, went around with me, and so it was a very very wonderful experience, during that time. So now we've lost everybody. I don't see anybody. So.
He said, talk about the dances.
We had dances. We had a dance committee it had to be 40 or 50 guys. And we would hold mixers and invite girl schools. And we didn't use DJs. We had bands. Okay. So they were live bands.
Yeah, you had real live bands.
What's that?
He said, my dad said you guys had real live bands.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I was never there with a DJ. It was always some kind of group or live band. And we would have them on a Friday night. And that dance committee of 40 kids, 50 kids, they would show up after school. We would break down the calf, bring out the risers, to put the band on and stuff. We'd have to make sure, lighting and sound, and the bands would come in and set up. And then when the doors opened, I had to make sure I had other faculty members at different doors. As kids came in, I would stand right there, so they would have to walk right by me so I could kind of smell if they had been drinking and stuff. You know what I mean? So we had pretty strict, them coming in. They had to be straight. And God bless them. Kids from that dance committee were like my eyes and my hands, and they would work that dance with me.
That's one of Calvert Hall's traditions is the dancing.
Say it again.
That's one of Calvert Hall's traditions.
Dances. Yeah. And the groups that we brought in, I mean, back in the first group I remember was in 1963, and that was Peter, Paul, and Mary, which was a national group. Yeah, 1963. And I wasn't even at the school yet, but I had come there to hear them and stuff. But then after that, we had, I think we had Dionne Warwick. We definitely had Otis Redding. I saw him right before he died. Yep. He played in the gym. That's where that was set up. And there were one or two other big groups that came in, and then they stopped it until I came back to school when I came as a teacher. And I thought, we need to have groups again. So I think it was 1972, and the British invasion was huge. A lot of British influence in music, and of course the Beatles had Sgt. Pepper's in 1967. So there was this group called Badfinger that the Beatles signed to their record label. Okay, and anyway, they were having a few hits that were out. And there was a kid at Calvert Hall named Juan Diaz. And Juan was kind of this wheeler dealer kind of guy, and he wanted to break into the promotion business. And he comes to me and he says, we should have a group, and maybe we can get Badfinger, and I will do all the advertising and all this kind of stuff. So I go to I forget, I think it was Brother John Moore or somebody, and I told him about it, and he goes, Charles, it has to be a closed event. We cannot have people from the outside come in because we just, the liabilities and all that. No worries, brother. We're going to take care of it. One morning I'm driving. All of a sudden on the radio, I hear on a very popular radio station, it's this, and a Calvert Hall appearing on May 14th is Badfinger and stuff. You can get your tickets from Juan Diaz. And
My goodness.
yeah. And so anyway, well, it was a crazy thing. I mean, I would never do it again in my entire life because kids were climbing up the side of the gym through the windows at the top of the gym to get in. This guy had sold tickets so that if we were expecting 1,000, we probably had 4,000.
Oh my!
It was awful. It was just awful. And I had one security guy that must have been 90 years old with a half dead dog. That was it. And oh my God. And the group is in the middle corridors where they used to have the language offices, right? And we put them back there I walk in, they're all smoking dope and stuff. And with that, Brother Gregory Cavalier, his office was there. He comes back and he goes, Charles, I'd love to meet the lads. And I'm like, oh no, brother, I think they're dressing. So keep him out of there. Oh my Lord. I was so happy and they were sweet as can be. The guys in the group were really, really sweet. And they were like very British. And they were like, all right, now you got to come out with us and party and stuff. After the show was over, I was so damn ready to go home. I was like, thank you very much, but I'm going home. So in any event, that was my legacy with this Badfinger in this group and stuff. Okay. But anyhow, so why don't you talk a little bit? What did you and your dad do for the place, Eric? I mean, what kind of stuff did you do? I mean, I want you to brag a little bit.
I'm just thankful that I made 4 years at Calvert Hall without getting thrown out. I'm just gonna be honest.
Well, that makes two of us, but so we didn't get thrown out. But what'd you do?
My first year, my second year was some tough times, but I didn't see anything good coming out of that.
Yeah,
we had some guys that we hung out with that we never thought was gonna make through Calvert Hall, and brother winged them out one by one. And there was two of us left.
Yeah,
there was two of us. And I this every day. Calvert Hall has been good to me and my family.
Yeah.
Tradition runs strong.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I appreciate the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Treat my mom as good as she did my dad.
Really?
I mean, they love my mom.
Yeah.
My mom gets a flower from them every Christmas. She gets a card from them every holiday. I mean, the tradition goes so far back in our family. It started with my uncle.
Okay.
It was my dad's boss. And then my dad brought his cousin. So my other aunt, she worked in the brother's house.
Mm-hmm.
So it was my uncle, my dad, and my aunt.
Wow. So that was a family affair.
Yeah. Then it became me, my brother, and my first cousin. So, I mean, the family goes way back, Mr. Presto. Way back.
Yeah.
But I'm blessed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm waiting for this coronavirus to be over with so we can get back to basic.
Yeah. Hey, Eric, why don't you tell some of these guys? I don't know that they knew about Paul Kinney. And yeah, why don't you tell them a little bit about who this guy was?
So Paul Kinney was my neighbor. And me and Paul been in school together ever since elementary school. First grade.
Wow.
And his father was my dad's best friend. And when he heard that we were going to Calvert Hall, he said his son was going too.
Wow.
But the thing about Paul was an exceptional athlete.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Paul's older brother, Vince Kinney, was a Calvert Hall guy too. he came first.
Right. I remember Vince well.
Vince was a three-sport man:
Mm-hmm.
baseball, football, and basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And then Paul came in my year, and Paul was sick, and we didn't know it. Had a heart attack on the floor, and I think after that, Calvert Hall's basketball team went like worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
We had a basketball game that like standing room only.
Yeah.
People climbing on the roof to get to a game. If you didn't get there by halftime at JV game, you didn't come see a basketball game when we were in school.
Mm-hmm.
And then we won the 81, 82 Al Hambert tournament. That made it even. That went wild.
Yeah. See, that was right after I left. So.
Right, and then we had the Al Hambert tournament. Then we played Dunbar in a triple overtime, and you've never ever seen a basketball game until you've seen one like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do we have any footage of that or any, old reels or?
I don't know. We have to ask Mr. Tooch.
Yeah, because he was coach at the time, right?
Coach at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And you're talking about a character. Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. I've got stories about him too. I love him to death, but
I had him as a teacher, and let me tell you, woo! That's all I can say is woo!
It's that Italian blood in us, you know what I mean? So it's
the good thing about that is my father and the majority of the teachers were all good friends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that made it bad for me. I'm just saying.
That meant you couldn't get away with anything, man. Oh my Lord. So what do you think has been the biggest change that you've seen at the Hall?
I want to say the staff.
The staff?
Yeah, the teachers are much younger now.
How'd that happen?
The teachers are much younger.
Uh-huh.
I think the generation like myself, I don't want to say it's harder for us to understand kids, but it's for the younger ones to blend in with the kids and understand them a little better. Sometimes at a certain age, your tolerance level changes.
I know what you mean. So
these younger teachers that we have now are just a little different than where you were in your day.
Really? And I mean, how do you see that as different? What's different about?
The teachers are a little more understanding than when you guys were teachers.
Yeah, I think they have to be.
There was no question when you guys were teachers. It was a yes and no. It wasn't, well, let's talk about this. No, it wasn't a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But younger people are different right now.
Mm-hmm.
They call it Generation X, but their mentality is unbelievable.
Yeah.
The things that you wouldn't accept, the teachers now accept.
Wow.
It's a different world, but it works for them though.
The other thing, because I taught at the college level and retired from that in 2016. But even there, I mean, so I saw a lot of those kids coming out of high school and then coming into college. And I would hear a lot of, some of my colleagues would say things like, they're not my favorites. And for whatever reason, I just always liked them. I think that they don't accept no for an answer all the time. Sometimes I wish they would, but they don't. And that in a way is kind of okay. They want to know why. All right. And I find that the younger people today are very creative in the problem solving and creativity, and they're just more worldly wise than we are. I mean, we grew up sheltered.
But younger people have more questions.
Yeah, because they're exposed to stuff so much earlier. I mean, everything's on the web. You just get online and you can read and see everything.
And sometimes I think technology is a problem.
I agree. I agree. But I think if you look at any new wave of anything, when the radio came in, my great great grandmother from Italy, when they turned it on, she ran and she hid because she thought the devil was in that box. Okay. And people were like, this is going to be our ruination. It's going to pull families apart because everybody will sit around, listen to the radio. Whenever you have new stuff, it takes a while to get used to it and to figure out what's good about it, what's bad about it. I worry about, are the kids on their phones too much? Is this going to take away from their ability to interact interpersonally? We'll see. I don't know.
That's a good statement right there, though. But, my son's football coach said to me, there are no more outside kids.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a computer.
Right.
Everybody has a cell phone. And everybody has a TV. You have one TV in the house, everybody shares.
I know.
Now everybody has a TV and a cell phone.
That's right.
We ate dinner at the same time, 6 o'clock every day or 6:30 every day. Kids come in and eat whenever they want to.
Yeah. And see, I think that's been the good thing about the whole quarantine. You know what I mean? It's brought families back together. Everybody complains about it. For me, I'll be honest, it was a chance to reconnect with a lot of people, even from the hall that I haven't, because, you got this friends for life thing. I really feel that way. Don't you? About,
yeah.
And you just reconnect, and it's been good times. And I think a lot of families are sitting down, having dinners together, and I don't know. And it may be awkward because they're not used to it, but I think that's the way it needs to be.
I'm the chef, so I cook every day. So that's a problem.
Why? So do I. I cook too, but I like it. See, I enjoy that. I really, really do. But I think it is different. But it's got its good and its bad. Every generation's got its good and its bad. It was easier to, I think, teach kids. I always say, even at Loyola, I was fortunate enough to be asked to help other teachers be better teachers. And one of the things that teachers today have to do that I didn't have to do in the beginning, and that is they can't just present information. If kids want to know something, they got it instantly at their fingertips, right? They can get that information. So for the teacher, his or her job is to figure out what pieces of information are most important for me to present to them, for them to understand it. And then how do we begin to use that information to think in creative and problem solving kind of ways? And we call that critical thinking. And I think that's a big challenge for teachers today. It's, before it used to be, they used to call it the sage on the stage. The wise man who comes in and starts pontificating. This is this and that. Kids don't want to hear that. Like I said, they got that on computers and stuff.
Like when I was going to Calvert Hall, we had encyclopedias.
Right. What are they? Kids don't have those. You can't even give that away, Eric.
No.
You can't even give them away.
No.
So, but that's what we had. That's what we had.
That was our computer, encyclopedia. Right.
That's it.
Now a kid can pick his phone up and type in, anything, and it comes up.
That's it. That's what I mean. So, it's right there. And so I think our responsibility is teaching them what to do with that information, how to process that information, not just here it is. So it's a little trickier, but there's some great people. What's that?
Many times.
It is.
When you got information at your fingertips about anything, how much the president makes, what does the governor make, or, where does such and such live? It all comes up on the computer. Yeah,
exactly.
That's a little scary.
Yeah. See, and I think, what we need to do at Calvert Hall and continue to do, because that's our tradition, is to mentor young men to be better young men. Okay, men of intellect, men of character, all of that, but to teach them to be better men for the world in front of them, which is very, very challenging. I mean, look at the, COVID-19, this whole thing that these kids have to deal with, the ones that aren't graduating. By the way, you talk about the teachers there. I know Michael Clark, who's a graduate of Loyola, Mr. Clark, is doing a magnificent job there. I know David Hallman, who also is from Loyola, is there doing a magnificent job. So there are wonderful people still at Calvert Hall. Joe Baker, God love him. I mean, he's.
Let me say, the thing about Calvert Hall is when you take an assignment at Calvert Hall, you have to believe in Calvert Hall.
Absolutely.
It does not work for you if you don't believe in where we're going and where it can go. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let me tell you where we come from to where we are now.
Right. Yeah, you got to drink the Kool-Aid.
Right?
Any chance you guys can hear me?
We can hear you. Yay!
Oh, hello. Welcome.
Well, it's about time, God damn it.
Hey, I came as a guest to my own party. That's unbelievable.
Yes, you did, and you got a standing ovation there. See?
There you go. Well, you guys have been killing it. I've been getting text messages saying, "Don't try to fix it. Just let Charlie and Eric go." Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Right, hey, you guys are doing a great job. Let's go a couple minutes though. Hey, Eric, we really haven't hit this though. Talk about your dad and about how Mr. Charlie about clean. Talk about clean at Calvert Hall.
That's what I was trying to get you to talk about before.
Yeah.
Let me tell you this. My dad loved Calvert Hall so much, he walked an hour and a half through a snowstorm to get to Calvert Hall.
Yeah.
No, I don't doubt it, man. Mm-mm.
And how do you expect things to be? That's what I want to know.
He had one thing on his mind, that he had to get the brothers out of the house. He loved those brothers. I don't understand. He never been in my shoes with those brothers, but I'm just saying.
That's a little different slant. You know what I mean?
I mean, my father took pride in Calvert Hall.
Oh yeah,
he did. I'm going to tell you one of my favorite Charlie Rogers stories. It's a good story, right? So when I was coaching basketball, you know this story too, probably. When I was coaching basketball, Mr. Charlie was redoing the floors every year. It was big process. But one winter during the Christmas break, he got a new product and did it in 2 days. And he told me, he goes, "Baker, this looks awesome. You're going to love this, the way this floor looks. It's like a doctor's office." So we come back from Christmas break, and it was beautiful. But it was like an ice rink. It was made for a doctor's office. It wasn't made for it, right? And we're sliding all over the place, and we're playing games. We're like wet mopping the floor and all kinds of stuff. So we have a day off from school. I go back in the back hallway, and I said, "Mr. Charlie, that floor." And he goes, "Yeah, whatever." I said, "Mr. Charlie, this is either Calvert Hall or this is not Calvert Hall. Because this is Calvert Hall, that floor ain't no good. This ain't Calvert Hall, it's okay. Go ahead." Right? So he got that floor fixed the next day. We had to redo it and all this stuff. And he always said to me years later, he goes, "Baker, remember we used to say, this is Calvert Hall or is this not Calvert Hall?"
That was the first water-based product that they tried on Calvert Hall floor.
Yep. It looked great. It looked
brand new.
It just wasn't just good. So it wasn't that good. So that was a good story. That's a good story. All right, Dr. Lopresto, why don't you take your years of Michael Clark says hello, by the way. He texted me earlier when I was out in the vortex.
There you go.
But why don't you take your years of experience in psychology and stuff and look at this, where we are now in quarantine, and talking about resilience and optimism or doom and gloom. What message you got for people about how do you feel in the quarantine, how you work your way through it or whatever?
Part of the thing that's going to get you through, believe it or not, and as I see it, is establishing some kind of traditions, things that you do on a regular basis while you're in quarantine, things that you look forward to. I think it really challenges us, Joe. we got to think about, we've got time to spend together. Eric was saying, he's in the house with the kids and that's a big job, but this too shall pass. And I think what we do is, I look at it as nature's way of giving us a little bit of a timeout to just stop and think about stuff. Okay. And really decide, how are we going to proceed? Because, when people say, well, when things get back to normal, well, that train has left the station. We will never go back to where we are. So we've got to do it better. And I think this gives us time to think about that. I really do. I know things I'm going to do that are different. I'm going to work smarter. I never thought that, I could see patients this way, virtually.
Yeah.
It's great. First of all, they can get to me like that. They don't have to wait until I'm there at the office. So, I'm really rethinking a lot of stuff. It's like, do we really need, what we've been doing, and how can I simplify my life a little bit more? And that,
that's good.
Yeah, tremendously. That gives me a certain degree of like oomph and verve and something to look forward to. So I think use time to think about things, about how we can make our lives better and move forward.
Yeah. All right, Eric, give us a good Calvert Hall message on, as we start all day. What would you say to the Calvert Hall community?
All in.
Yeah, baby. I like that. Now, look, I would, in a real TV show, I'd be giving you guys gifts right now, but it's a quarantine, so I can't hand you the gift, right? So, but look, but I thank you for being here. But I'm going to bring in a guy into the stream just to transition to the late night. All right, let's see something. This is Lou Miserandino. All right, Lou Miserandino's class of '99. Lou's the director of the McMullen program. So here's the plan. I'm gonna in a second let you guys sign off greatly for being here. Lou will take us into the late night, but also got, if you stay around, I think coming in maybe is Des Torpy coming from Germany. So I'm gonna bring him in a couple minutes, and Torp is he's a weatherman, so he's gonna give us an all day weather broadcast or something. So, but
Joe, I just want to say, it's not about you giving us gifts. I'm sure Eric and I, when we sign, we'll be giving you some gifts. Okay.
There you go. That'd be nice. That's nice.
And that's what
we got 125 donors so far all day. So it's great. It's doing, like I like to say, the mission of Calvert Hall is real. It's the real deal. We're getting things done. We're helping people, and it's really good that you guys come on. So, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to knock you guys off. I apologize for the little technical problem at the beginning. If I could tell you I could tell you a lot of curse words that were utilized. Somehow it all came together. But everybody's been listening said you guys did an amazing job, and you guys carried the conversation anyhow. So thanks so much for being with us, and we'll catch you all on the road.
All right, Mr.
All right, guys.
All right. Take care, guys. Ciao.
All right, Louis Miserandino, welcome to the show.
Morning, Mr. Baker. I really appreciated the hands-off approach that you took to the first 45 minutes of the program. It was a great innovation in broadcasting.
Well, the backdoor way, I end up I'm actually serving as a guest to my own event. So I brought myself in as a guest. I think it finally worked.
That's going to catch. That's a broadcasting innovation as a result of the quarantine. I think it's going to revolutionize podcasts and internet casts.
Well, look, we're waiting for Jess Torpy maybe to show up in a couple seconds, but why don't you talk a little bit about the McMullen program? Now, talk about the AP history test tomorrow. Give some people on the stream some hints how they can do well on the AP history test tomorrow.
That's right. Well, this was originally scheduled to be a big day for us in the McMullen program. We were scheduled to go to New York City today, but it doesn't look like that's going to come through. However, on the AP US history front, AP pushed back its exams this year. And so the first week of AP exams from home was this week across America. And the AP US history exam is coming up later today, Friday at 2:00 from wherever your computer is. You get to take the AP exam. And we had to do a lot of modification, a lot of innovation on the fly ourselves. The test is not the usual 3 hours and 15 minutes. It's 45 minutes, open notes, open book, 1 DBQ. I noticed from some of the folks participating in the chat that we have some DBQ veterans out there. It's 1 DBQ. That's even shorter than normal. So you get 1 document-based question, and it's an essay that goes along with some documents that they present to you. And you're going to have to write about that for 45 minutes and then make your submission online. So hopefully all the students who have to take that at 2 o'clock are resting up right now. And hopefully they're looking at the rubric and remembering to A the Q. That's been a point of emphasis for us in AP US history for many years. You have to answer that question. If you don't answer the question, if you don't treat the directions like a task list, they're going to knock points off for you and you're not going to come home with that big 5.
Good point. Good point. So we're welcoming into the stream Jess Torpy, class of 93. Torps, you hearing us?
I got 2 things going live here. Let me see if I can figure this out.
I just want to say, Ich bin ein Berliner.
Attaboy, Joe. You got it figured out, my man.
So Mr. Torpy's coming to us from Germany, class of 93. His brother's class of 95, maybe? John
96.
Torpy?
Yeah, 96.
96. He's a youngster. So,
That's right.
So Torp, you're on the stream. We actually just got the stream working well in the last 10 minutes. So you missed Charlie Lopresto, who's a great guy, class of 65. Eric Rogers from class of 81. They did a great job. On the stream with you right now is Lou Miserandino, director of the McMullen program, youngster, class of 99.
Great to see you. Great to see you.
I see you.
Torp, tell your story about where you are, what you do, how you do it.
Yeah. So when I was 2 years old, I told my mother when I was taking a bubble bath, I said, these bubbles look like the satellite picture on TV. And from that point on, I wanted to be a meteorologist. So I was the only kindergartner that could spell meteorologist. And the whole time I was at St. Joe's in Cockeysville and at Calvert Hall, I always told everybody I'm going to be a meteorologist. And sure enough, I went from Calvert Hall to Penn State. Calvert Hall, I give all the credit in the world because my first year at Penn State was easier than my senior year at Calvert Hall. So if that's not the definition of preparatory school, I don't know what is. But got my diploma from Penn State in meteorology, and now I had a 10-year career in television. I was in upstate New York in a couple places. I was in Raleigh, Durham, North Carolina for about 5 years. Then, I said, I'm not young enough. I'm not pretty enough anymore. I got to get out of this. So I switched over to the energy side. And I've been a trade floor meteorologist, helping traders make decisions about long-range weather forecasting since 2007 now. So doing that for 13 years. So, yeah, and
you're living in Germany.
I live in Dusseldorf, Germany. Yep. I got my wife and my 7-year-old son and my 9-year-old daughter here with me. We've been here for 6.5 years, and
wow,
man, it's been an adventure. I got bilingual kids. We've seen so many places traveling around Europe. It's been so much fun. We've really enjoyed it. So yeah.
So Torp, how's the COVID been in Germany? You guys been quarantined and stuff?
Yeah, we've been locked in since right around St. Patrick's Day. They really shut things down, and they're starting to try and get back to normal now a little bit. We have the kids were in school 1 day each this week. They're obviously they're in grade school, so they're having each grade go back 1 day a week. So I mean they're trying to get back to some kind of normalcy, but yeah, it's just like everywhere else. It's
we've been online
since
kids,
especially.
March 18th. Yeah, we've been online since March 18th, but it's interesting. And right now, Lewis with us is the AP tests are going on right now. So the AP people didn't want to give anybody a refund, so everybody's doing coloring books and trying to get their grades in. So it's working out. Hey, tell us. I'm trying to think of your Calvert Hall connection. What about you're talking about your connection with Brother Philberg?
Oh man, Brother Charles and I mean, we go back to 1989, baby. I mean, he is the best. It's the things that happened while I was at Calvert Hall and taking German for 4 years with Brother Charles, the Berlin Wall coming down my freshman year, and the unification of Germany that soon followed. It was a fascinating time to be involved with Brother Charles, not just learning the language, but also keeping up with the news in Germany. And it was just great. He was so approachable. I remember all the times that I would just walk into his room before homeroom, and we'd just sit there and talk for 20 minutes. And then I ended up being the editor-in-chief of the yearbook the last 2 years. And of course, he was the moderator back then, and that's a titanic task every year to put that book together. But we just spent hours putting that together, and just always laughing. He always instilled in me the fact that when you work hard and you do it with a sense of humor, it makes it even all the better. So I'll be grateful to him. He's one of my favorite people on this planet, and he made my experience at Calvert Hall that much better.
So a good Torpy brother Philberg story, which but I'll share with the audience, is that your brother's the head lacrosse coach at High Point University. He's doing a great job. John's a little more free spirited, maybe
a little on the
Torpy spectrum, a little more. And John had a very distinguished career here at Calvert Hall as a substitute teacher. I got him started. But last year, High Point came to Calvert Hall and practiced on the practice field, which disturbed Brother Charles. And Brother Charles has been known for being a pretty stickler to the rules, to which Brother Charles took a mad run out onto the field to go after the lacrosse team. And your brother just kind of like chuckled at him, and it all worked out, I guess. It all worked out.
Well, Brother Charles, he's a law enforcer with a smile, isn't he? He knows the rules, and he sticks to the rules. But man, if you show up and you work hard for that guy, he's your friend for life, and I'm proof positive of that.
And he can teach German, no doubt, right?
The last time I was at the hall was a couple years ago, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I threw Russian in there. Now I'm teaching that. I'm doing religion." I was like, "Man, you got what don't you do? Why don't you give me a list of what you don't do? Maybe that'd be shorter." Yeah.
Now I don't want to. A lot of people on the call don't know that you, in addition to many things you've done in your life, attended Joe Baker basketball camp.
I did, and it inspired me to become the editor-in-chief of the yearbook. I knew I wasn't cut out for the athletic rigors. As soon as I spent that week of roasting myself in the gymnasium there under the auspices of Professor Joe Baker. Even though I was 6'5" when I was a freshman, I was the biggest kid in school, and I wasn't playing basketball.
Louis, share with Jess some of the trips the McMullens go, because they might go to Germany. Tell them what you do with you guys.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We will head over as soon as flights are allowed again. We could head over.
Yeah.
We're really fortunate that with the McMullen Scholars Program, one of the things that we put an emphasis on is taking trips off campus to make sure that the students get off campus and broaden their horizons a little bit. Just learn about anything, anywhere. Some of the trips are local, and they're a lot of fun, so especially when we work food into it. We'll go to the Walters Art Museum, or we'll go to the BMA or catch a Shakespearean show downtown. But today we were originally scheduled to go to New York City, and that's a pretty fun trip for us. It's not quite Germany, but we have students here from many different backgrounds. So we have some New York veterans, and for some people for whom doing an overnight trip in Manhattan is totally new. And so we try to make it exciting. We try to make it fun. What we were going to do today was we were going to head up in the morning. We were going to visit Columbia University just to see a campus, just to talk a little bit about what it's like to be out of town and explore an urban campus and see what it's like to get onto the grounds of a school that's out of town. And then we were going to stay at a really nice hotel. We work some deals. We try to work some magic to stay at a place in Midtown. We were going to be at the Westin. 4 to a room. We're going to do 4 to a room to make it possible. We're very strict. Try to keep it no more than 4 to a room, no more than 2 to a bed, no more than 1 to a shower at a time. We try to keep it clean. And then we're going to do a Broadway show. We were going to do a Friday night Broadway show. We had 3 show options for the students. Some we're going to see West Side Story. Some we're going to see To Kill a Mockingbird. And we threw Aladdin in there. throw that in there. Maybe some of the younger guys were going to be interested in singing along, and then we were going to come back the day after. So it was going to be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do it this year. We had Brazilian Steakhouse as the group dinner, Mr. Baker. I don't know if I ever even told you that.
Carmine's my favorite, but I would have gone
style dining. It was going to be a novel experience for many guys who aren't used to all-you-can-eat meats, Brazilian style. And it's a fun trip. I mean, for me as a chaperone, part of what's cool about it is the opportunity to watch people learn to be on their own a little bit. We don't have to be super strict about chaperoning every second. The guys can break up into small groups and explore the territory a little bit, be involved in some activities that they normally don't get to do. And we work on the independence and the initiative a little bit and try to see new things that touch on a broad variety of topics. So when you go to the Broadway show, it's a unique experience. Maybe you realize that theater is not for you, but it's something to try. And so many of the shows might teach you lessons about something else, like the civil rights era, or like racial tension in an earlier period,
Sure.
or what it's like to have a genie come out of a lamp for you, something like that, something valuable.
Well, I mean, you're bringing me back because my freshman year at Calvert Hall I sang with the Hallman for 4 years.
Oh, nice.
And, back then we had John Yankee was the director of the chorus back in those days, and then Hardwick Spencer jumped in my second year there. But John Yankee arranged for us to sing at St. Patrick's Cathedral
awesome.
in Midtown Manhattan, and I had been there many times. All my family's from the New York City area, and we actually sang also at Hudson Catholic High School, which is in Jersey City, New Jersey, which turned out to be right across the street from where my grandparents live. So they came and saw the show at Hudson Catholic with the Christian brothers. A lot of the brothers from Calvert Hall have taught there over the years. And it was the first time I met Brother Kevin Stanton, who ended up being a pretty big part of Calvert Hall. And not long after that, Brother Kevin Strong started at Calvert Hall, and boy, there were just so many strong personalities back in those days.
Yeah.
Brother Renee Sterner was the principal my first couple of years. He was a real excellent man, and boy, this Calvert Hall just has so many legends. Joe Baker's one of them too. Trust me, I used to work in the math tutoring center with his mother, who was an amazing woman as well. Boy, she was really great. I got my daughter poking in here too. She's just getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning here in Germany. So. Yeah.
Hey, Torp, so when Lewis and I come over and spend 6 months at the Torpy house, what's the best site thing in Europe? Where do we want to go? What's your top spot for us to go visit?
Oh man, there's just so many. We've done a lot of off the beaten path stuff on purpose. We went to St. Petersburg, Russia on a cruise ship. We went to Casablanca, Morocco on a cruise ship. We've been to Lisbon, Portugal, which is amazing. It's just like San Francisco. We've been to London, Paris, so many of the great cities in Germany. The Cologne Cathedral, very inspiring place. You don't realize how huge this place is until you're standing in front of it. It's the largest facade of a church in the whole world. Rome, with all of the sights to see there. Just incredible.
All right, 6 months not going to work. We're coming over for 9 months.
It's got to be at least a year, Joe. Come on, at least a year.
I can do it.
I got a fourth bedroom. You use the space. You can use Dusseldorf as a base.
I'm there. I'll be there.
Get on over
look,
here.
I don't want to keep you guys up all night. You got to go to work and all. But how about Torp? How about for in honor of All Day Holiday? Give us a weather prediction for the day. Can you do something for it?
I mean, it's going to be a hot day in Baltimore, baby. We're looking at some sunshine, high temperatures, upper 80s. Hopefully, part of that building is air conditioned now. It sure wasn't when I was a student there in the late 80s, early 90s. But I hope that posh office is going to have some air conditioning, or maybe you're at home, Joe. I can't tell. I think you're in your office there.
I'm in the office. Yeah. So
all right.
Good. That's good. Well, thank you. So,
warm and sunny
us
for All Day Holiday. And you know what? I'm challenging the guys from the class of '93 and the surrounding years. I made a donation this morning. Jump on there. I think you're matching donations until 2 a.m. there. So
we are till 2, right? We're power hour till 2. We're matching, doubling them up till 2. Yeah, good stuff. So
get in there, represent.
I will tell you next for those late owls that are still up. A couple minutes on the Giving Day page. We're going to run the 100 Turkey Bowl game. from the WBMAR broadcast. So if you're still up, he'll still hanging around. If Brett Corey, you're still up, you can watch that. But I appreciate everybody coming on the show tonight. Sorry again for a little bit of the technical issues earlier in the night, but this is great. Thanks so much. All right,
you guys take care. Best from Germany.
Thanks for
Mr. Baker, good to see you. I'm available if you need to. I was reminded of some things from hearing those stories there, but I'm around tonight. I'm not. I'll
bring you back on another show. So,
okay. Right, whatever you need, I'll be by my phone if you want to send me a text.
Very good. Thanks for stopping by. All right, guys, have a great night.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye now.